Welcome to today's webinar, courtesy of the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. Discover no-cost, valuable business services to help you thrive, whether starting your entrepreneurial journey or scaling your existing business. We have the resources and expertise to help you succeed. For more information, please visit our website or text 502-977-5800. Thank you for joining us today. Feel free to use the chat feature to ask questions or engage with our speaker. Let's get started.
Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to another Toolkit Tuesday. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Dave Etkin. I'm the director here at the Louisville Small Business Development Center. And as always, I'm joined with my good friend and coworker, Jenna Flaw. How are you today, Jenna?
I'm great, Dave. I hear it's really, really humid and hot outside, so being inside is a good thing right now.
Absolutely. Come on, November. That's all I keep saying today. Come on, November. So, again, with the Small Business Development Center, I'm Dave, here the director, and just a little reminder, we are here to help you start and grow your business. We help you with your business plans, find capital, whatever else you need. Our whole job is to help you along any point along the journey. So just to make sure that you can see and hear us, if you look at the bottom of your screen there should be a little toolbar that pops up. And if you see if you don't, kind of hover over it, it should pop up, and then you'll see the little chat button. If you wouldn't mind just saying hello and tell me where you're joining from so that I know that you're out there. I can kind of see everyone popping in, but you just never know. It's we always have stuff going on, so it's good to check. Hey, Aprila, it's good to see you again. Hi, Lydia, Nicholasville. There's Janet from our Sellersburg headquarters. Let's see, Dallas and Philadelphia. Awesome. I was just up that way the other day. Judy, Paintsville. All right, Lexington. Brant, hello. Olive Hill. Greg from Louisville. London, Kentucky. Man, we got folks from all over today. So let me just give you some background about what we're going to do today, because, sometimes I just talk too much, but here it is. So I've got this big presentation at this giant conference in a couple months. And so I was struggling with what I needed to do. And I got a recommendation for a public speaking coach. And I tell you, it's really changed my life. And I'm not trying to, pump our speaker up, but I thought, people struggle with presentations all the time in public speaking. And so I asked Olivia to come on and share some stuff with everyone, because it is super helpful. And you may not have the opportunity, or maybe you're not facing something like I am with this giant conference, but the ability to speak in groups of more than one people, I mean, that is a skill that you need to work on and hone. There's things that you can learn to make yourself better and get better results. So I thought, what better person than Olivia to come on board and share with everyone, because she's really helped me out a lot. So I hope you can glean some information from her. And also, just to answer this question, you will be this recording. We're going to record everything. We're going to put it up on YouTube. We'll send it to you a little bit later on, and please take advantage of it. So, Olivia, how are you today?
I have never been better today. Thank you for asking. I'm doing excellent.
Good. So as we go along here, if you have any comments or questions, put it in the chat. I'll be watching that, and maybe we'll break in, maybe we won't. But this is a great opportunity to talk to an expert and get your questions answered right now. So keep that in mind. Don't be shy. Put it in the chat. So with that being said, Olivia, it's all you.
The floor is mine. Yay. Okay. I am going to try to do something very techy and share my screen. So if you see this, Dave, I'm looking at you. Give me a thumbs up
Looking
if this
awesome.
is all set. Okay, awesome. So glad to see everybody here today. And thanks. You could be anywhere right now, but you chose to be with me and be with Dave and Janet at lunchtime on a Tuesday. So thank you so much for doing that. I promise that we're gonna have some fun today. I promise that you're gonna leave. You're gonna have all kinds of new ideas. And so I want you to lean in. And before we get into our information, I'm gonna do exercise with you, if that's okay. This will have chat participation, so please type in the chat whenever I cue you to. So make sure if you're driving, don't pull over and do the chat. But if you're at your office, at your desk, please participate in this. So I'm going to pull up a screen here in just a second, and I'm going to give you one job. That job is to count the number of F's you see in this sentence. So the sentence, count the number of F's you see in the sentence. So here we go. I'm going to only leave it up for a second, so be quick. Okay, that was quick. I know that was quick, but I can't let you look at it too long. Okay, now in the chat, how many F's did you count? 3, 3. Let's have some more rolling. 6, 6, 5. Whoa, 3, 3. 6, okay, 5. Anybody else last to chime in? 3, 3. These people that chose 3 are like, who's not got 6? I'm confused about that. Okay, so we've got a couple different answers here, and here's the deal. The correct number to this is 6. Don't believe me. Those people that are like 3, like, what happened? I did have more people on this one guess 6 than I normally do. So very astute crowd. I'm taking note. Here we go. Let's look at this together. Finished files are the result of years of scientific study combined with the experience of many years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What little 2-letter word did we miss? Tell me in the chat, what did we miss? Some of us didn't miss the of. Yeah, you got it. We missed the word of. Why did we do that? Were my instructions clear? I think they were clear. Why did we look at this and have something very, very easy to do, but still couldn't do it? Well, I'm going to pick on Dave for a second because I know Dave. Here's what Dave's brain did. When I pulled up this sentence you see, Dave's brain went, hey, Dave, listen, we read sentences all the time, and so we're just gonna do the same thing we normally do and not read every single word. We're just gonna like skim it, and then we'll come back and we'll just say the answer and we'll be good. That's what Dave's brain did, okay? So that's what all of our brains did, except for the ones that selected 6. Most of us will read a sentence and our brains will do the same thing they're trained to do, which is they're trained to skim, they're trained to automate, they're trained to make this thing that's a big task something small. Why? Because our brains are taking in so much information anyway. Whenever we get a task like this, we just go the short path, right? So we automate. Now, here's the thing. This is funny in an exercise. Like in an exercise, it's funny to be like, ha ha ha, Dave got 3 out of 6. That's so funny and hilarious. Here's the thing. This doesn't just happen in a fun exercise at the beginning of a webinar, does it? This happens when we give presentations and when we sit in the audience of folks that are giving presentations too, even right now. We don't retain everything. And it's because our brains aren't designed to take in every single detail. Our brains have rewired and made shortcuts in all of those beautiful things that it's done for us along the way. But here's the thing. People check out, and they don't just check out because maybe they don't check out because, they don't care about your content. They don't check out because they're rude. They don't check out because they don't like you. I don't know. Maybe they might not like you. Maybe that is why they're checking out. But I'm just kidding. But the large majority of the people that check out aren't doing it on purpose. They're doing it because that's what their brains are trained to do. So no longer is it acceptable for us as leaders and presenters to go, here's a bunch of information. Have a nice day. See ya. That's no longer the call for us as leaders and as presenters. The call for us is to interrupt that automatic process that's going on in their brain. It has to be. It has to be if we care about them doing or thinking something different as a result of the presentation. If you don't care about people doing or thinking differently, after your presentation, then you can probably just dismiss all of the following information. But if you're given a presentation and you want somebody to think or do something different, then pay attention because we want them to actually remember it. And here's the thing, if they don't remember it, we can't expect them to do anything about it, right? If they're not remembering it, we can't expect them to do something different. So our job now is no longer to give information, like we said. It's to interrupt that process. And it turns out, those of you who watch Ted Lasso was onto something when he said that we have the attention span to have the attention span of a goldfish. Turns out our attention span is only about 8 seconds. That's about the attention span of a goldfish. So you're welcome. If you needed a confidence boost today, there you go. We're just like goldfish. Here's the thing. We are just going to get distracted by everything. And not only that, there was a study that came out of the University of California in 2015 that said we will do this thing called self-interrupting every 47 seconds if we are not distracted every 8 seconds. What is self-interrupting? It's this. I'll show you. We will self-distract. We'll come up with distractions for us. Because if we're not distracted, our brains tell us we need to be. So we'll start fidgeting in our seat. We'll start messing with our nails. We'll look at our phone, and we will create distractions every 47 seconds if you can hold on that long, right? Here's the on top of that. Then and you know, we're going over all this because this is the actual people sitting in your audience or sitting in your board presentation or sitting in your quarterly update. These are the people that are at the seats, what they're fighting all the time to have their attention be cued in, to be engaged. We're always fighting all of this. So on top of that, there's research that's come out that says that we have about 2,000 daydreams a day. That's mentally checking out and going somewhere else 2,000 times every day. If you're doing the math, that's about 125 times an hour. 125 times an hour. And if you want to backtrack that math even more, in the next 30, 35 minutes, 40 minutes-ish of this presentation, you're going to check out 2 times every minute. 2 times every minute. And it's not because you're not tracking with me. It's not because I'm not taking it personally, man. It's just how your brains are. And that's how mine is too. And so if we're fighting that while we're giving presentations, we really do have to be engaging. And if you want one more statistic on how intense it is and how much information we've got coming at us, we have about 74 gigabytes of information coming at us every single day that we are ingesting. We're ingesting and digesting literally all the things. And I'm not an IT person. I'm not a gigabytes person. So I had to look this up with my husband. It turns out we take in about 16 full-length movies. That's about 74 gigabytes every single day. So our folks are fighting for a lot just to pay attention. No longer, again, I'll say it one more time, but no longer is it okay to just stand up and give information because our brains are doing too much now. We have to interrupt that automatic process that loops them out. If we care about them actually remembering what we said and actually doing something because of it. Here's the kicker. When we take all of this in consideration, and we know we have someone listening to us in a presentation, and we get that our brains are being pulled in different ways, the result is folks walk away from our presentation retaining about 10%. And that's about on a real good day. Most people say that it's more around the lines of 7 to 8% of retention. I don't know about you, but the presentations, I don't want you to walk away from this and grab only 7%. I want you to grab more than that. And so again, we have to be people that answer to that statistic and do something about it. So our big question today is, how do we create engaging presentations? Because the science is behind us, right? The science says once we can keep people engaged, retention goes up. And we want retention to go up. We want to be able to walk away and have them actually do the thing. And so we want to create engaging presentations. And we don't create engaging presentations because we want to say all the funniest jokes, because we want to be in front of the room making everyone do a big exercise before, or because we want to, have the funny punchline. And all of those are ways you can engage people. And I'm even going to suggest some of them later on. But That's not why we want to be engaging. Why we want to be engaging is because we believe and lean in. This is this is the through line here. All of us are business owners. We believe we have something really important to tell somebody, don't we? We believe we have something important to say that could change the way they think and what they do that could benefit them. That's why we augment our presentations and include engagement elements in there, and so we can make sure that we're as helpful as we possibly can be to the people that we serve, right? We're not doing it to be the most entertaining person. We're not doing it for an award. We're doing it so we can help people, right? Because that's the heart of all the stuff that we do, right? We just want to be helpful. That's why we start small businesses. That's why we do the things that we do, is that we have a solution that's going to be helpful. So how do we create these? What are we doing? How do we create presentations that are engaging? Before we jump into it, and that's going to be the bulk of where we're going for the rest of our time together, I want you to drop in the chat, what are some reasons that you've checked out of presentations before? It can be anything from he was monotoned to I just didn't click with the person to I didn't believe them. I didn't believe what they said to the reputation preceded them. What is some reasons that we check out of presentations? Yeah. Yeah, the presenter's too wordy. Totally. Oh, we're gonna get there later. Yep. Spoke with no enthusiasm. I love that. Sleepy. Oh my gosh, yes. Have any of us just listened to a presenter that just doesn't seem like they want to be there? There's nothing worse because then we don't want to be there. Reading directly from the slides, yep, presentation style, too good to be true, prior associations. Yeah, I love all of this and not engaging enough. Yeah. And as you're thinking of those, drop them in there because it'll help everybody in the chat and this logged on today to not feel so alone. We all check out of these things, and there's all kinds of reasons we do. No reason is wrong. But here's the deal. Here's how we're going to tackle the rest of our time together. I have my help with by my friend Aristotle, and yes, that Aristotle. He lived a long time ago, but he left behind something we're going to use today. And it's a three-part framework, easy stuff, he left behind for us that addresses the question of how do I be persuasive and engaging in the way that I communicate with somebody else? It's called ethos, pathos, logos. You don't have to write them all down right now. We're going to slide each of those under a microscope, see what they mean, and then talk about how we can place specific things that's going to help each of those in our presentation and how you can walk away today with some brand new ideas. And before we jump in, I'm going to explain what ethos is, pathos is, and logos is. I'm just giving you a heads up that that's where we're going. But I'm just going to warn you, this is going to be a notebook out, a writing approved. This is a high note presentation from this part forward because I'm just going to give you tips and tricks for the rest of our time together of what I've seen in my own life and what I've seen helping lots of folks around the country, in some around the world, help make their presentations a little bit more engaging, okay? So get those notes out. My goal today is that you leave with 5 to 10 brand new things you can infuse into your presentations today and it not be a ton of effort. Y'all are busy. Today's purpose is to just give that busy person some easy plug-in things that's going to help them immediately. And I don't care if you're pitching a product to a new group of people. I don't care if you're pitching a new idea to your board. I don't care if it's a quarterly update. I don't care if it's a one-on-one conversation. Or I don't care if you're in front of a couple thousand people at a conference. Wherever you are in your own journey, in your business, you're going to find good pieces today, good nuggets for each of those stages. So strap in, here we go. The first thing, and as you have questions, I have appointed Dave as the question gatherer. So Dave is going to take some questions as you can ask them as we're going through the presentation. Keep in mind, I'm not going to answer them until the very end, so I make sure that we maximize our time. But he's going to make note of those questions, and we'll get to them at the end. But yeah, feel free to add those as we go. So the first thing we want to talk about when we think of ethos, pathos, and logos, what our buddy Aristotle left for us, We're going to hit ethos first. And what ethos is Aristotle goes, if you're going to persuade someone or if you're going to engage somebody, they got to know why they can trust you. Why you? It answers the question, why is it us that's delivering this information? All of these slides, by the way, you can take pictures of. You can where the webinar is recorded, so you can go back and grab this later if you want to. But so how are we establishing credibility whenever we get up and speak? The first thing that I want to talk about right out of the gate is your reputation. Your reputation precedes you. If you are a new business owner and maybe you haven't done a lot of these presentations, maybe you haven't networked as much as you want to be and all of those things, they're actually in a really good spot because you might not have much of a reputation yet. So you can build off of that new energy, that new stuff. Now, on the flip side, we've all sat in presentations. I think somebody even said it in the comments. We've all sat in presentations where we know the person that's going to be presenting and we don't like them or we don't trust them or they said something to somebody that made somebody mad. And we kind of go, okay, here we go. Or, maybe they are on their high horse and everybody else is below them, right? Your reputation's going to precede you and it will make people check in or check out before you say a word. That may be a harsh reality for some of us today, and I'm not here to pretend like I've always got it perfect either. But just being aware of what you're walking into and what their opinions of you might be before even getting started is a good place to start and reflect. So reflect on that. The other piece I want to talk about is authenticity. We've all been in presentations where Bill is a completely different person when he presents. And it's confusing, right? So if I'm really, really enthusiastic in real life and I get up and present and I'm like this and I'm not engaged and I talk like this, it's kind of jarring. And we could say, yeah, Bill's nervous and Bill's whatever, but it is kind of jarring, right? Same thing is if we've got somebody that's really quiet normally and a little bit more introverted, and then they get up and they're like, okay, everybody, let's do the YMCA. You're going, okay, whoa, like very distracting, right? Try and be the same human when you're presenting and when you're not presenting. That builds credibility. It lets people know you're being real with them, doesn't it? So establishing credibility, big two pieces there. The next thing I want to talk about, and this isn't in the slides, but I wanted to mention it. Something we don't talk about enough, I don't think, especially for my younger entrepreneurs out there. Dressing appropriately, to build credibility. We want to be dressing appropriately in front of the audiences we're in front of. Let me give you an example. I am somebody, I will say I have been given the feedback. I am somebody who has been given feedback. I look a lot younger than what I actually am. Okay? In my industry, in the public speaking industry, it's very fashionable to wear a suit with tennis shoes. I can't do that. I can't do that and build credibility with my 60-year-old males who have been in business for 50 years. I have to be mindful, and that's a personal thing. I'm not saying you can't do it. That's what I've learned. And so you have to make those guardrails yourself. And you may disagree with me vehemently, and that's totally fine. But you have to be mindful of what you're wearing in front of the folks you're around. My good rule of thumb is that if you're going to present to a group, dress one step up than what you think. One step up than what you think. So I want to make that point on dress. It's not something we talk about a lot, but we've seen people get on stage, and if we got a keynote speaker that walks up, and in my circles, we get a keynote speaker that walks up in sweatpants, I'm going to think one thing rather than having them dress nice and be more professional, right? It's not a judgment thing, it's just a thing. Okay, that's my dress appropriately shtick. Nonverbal cues, body language. I touched on it just a second ago. We could do a whole section on each of these bullet points, so I'm just giving you the flyby, okay? But if I'm looking at you like this, and my tone is like this, and I'm not really leaning in, and I'm not really acting like I want to be here, you're probably not going to want to be there either, and you probably aren't going to know if you can trust what I'm saying because it's kind of hard to establish credibility when it doesn't seem like we're engaged with our own content. Make sense? And I'm not asking you to do the YMCA and run around, okay? I'm just asking you, be mindful if you're somebody that kind of goes inward and kind of slouches back and gets really quiet when you present. Very normal with people with anxiety and that are fearful of this sort of thing. We're not talking about going from 0 to 100. We're talking about just cranking up that comfort level a little bit. And again, we could talk more and more about that, but be mindful if you're somebody that naturally does that in the message that it sends. An easy way to get to tweak that I've found is to just focus on your shoulders. And I want you to just focus on your shoulders as if there was a string going from your heels to the ceiling where it's just pulling you straight up like this. If you can just do that one thing and focus on that one thing, that'll change the way that you're interacting with your people and your nonverbal cues just a little bit, and that's going to make a big, big difference. So eye contact, too, very important. I like to tell people, here's another trick, especially if you're someone that's anxious and gets up in front of people. But even if not, making eye contact with 3 people. Find one on the left, left, find one in the middle, find one on the right. That one person, you can kind of bob between them the whole presentation. It makes the room feel smaller, so it's less intimidating. And you're making eye contact with people, so it feels more personable. That establishes credibility as well. The last piece I'd like to touch on here is you control the room. You control the room. You are the captain of the yacht, okay? You are the captain of the cruise ship. If I'm excited and if I'm ready to go and I'm pumped to give you some information, likely you're going to be excited to receive the information. You're going to be in a good headspace to receive, whether if I'm just like I was and we're not really here and it seems like I don't have a lot of control. You sense that in the audience, don't you? So even if it's just allowing you to breathe and go, listen, I'm in control here. I set the tone here. So if I'm more excited, they may be more excited. That may be the one little trick you need today to take your presentation to the next level. So remember, you're in control of the experience. And the only way you can be in control of the experience is if you prepare and prepare and prepare. And I have a lot of clients that will say to me, I don't want to, and everybody said over prepare. I don't want to over prepare. I will say I understand the sentiment. I understand because if you're over prepared, you get in your head a lot. I would argue this. I would argue the opposite. If you're over prepared or if you're prepared a lot, like you've done a lot of preparation, you know what's coming, you know what's in 10 minutes, you know what you just said, you know where your audience is. That allows you to walk around the room. It allows you the mental space to actually see what's going on in front of with your people, to mental space to go, oh yeah, remember to hold my shoulders back, or the mental space to be, oh yeah, remember I got to look at my people, right? It allows you to become a better speaker. So prepare some more. Does anybody remember I think it was 2014 at the Oscars when Idina Menzel was being announced by John Travolta, and and he got all the words messed up, and he said, "Welcome to the stage, the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem." He wasn't prepared. He was not prepared. Remember when Steve Harvey announced the wrong Miss USA winner, and the whole world went, "Oh my gosh, that's the worst thing that's ever happened. Oh my gosh." Yeah, maybe he didn't look long enough and prepare long enough for that moment. Listen, you're going to make mistakes as a speaker. It's going to happen. I've made lots and lots of mistakes as a speaker, but those risks of making those big ones, they come down the more that you go over your content, the more you prepare. So, yes, another thing I want to mention before we move on to the next thing is people trust you when you're on time, don't they? So if we start on time and we end on time, that establishes credibility. Same thing with making sure your technology works. Janet and Dave and I got on here 15 minutes early and went through the slides and made sure everything worked. Because we don't want to have something go wrong in the middle of it. Something as easy as, hey, can everybody hear me back there? I want to make sure everybody can hear me, right? That goes a long way with credibility. So there are lots of little things you can add when it comes to ethos to establish that credibility. The last thing, I keep saying the last thing I want to mention, but actually the last thing I'm going to mention is before I started talking, Dave said, hey, Olivia has done this and she's done that, and here's why we brought her in. That established credibility before I even said a word, right? Because Dave said, hey, here's a personal experience, and here's why we brought Olivia in. There's a lot of ways to establish credibility before a word even comes out of your mouth. So be thinking about how you can do that in your own spaces. Okay, that's ethos. I told you we're moving at rocket speed. So everybody hanging in there with me, give me a heck yes in the comments or yep, I'm following in the comments, and we'll keep it going. Let's see the comments. Yes, I see. Heck yes. Oh, yeah, we got some agreeing here, dressing for your role you're presenting to. Absolutely. All right, so let's keep it moving. We're going to go to pathos. And if I'm going to tell you there's one of these you have to take home and really make sure you nail and really make sure we get in on it, it's pathos. So crank up the hearing aids, crank up the things. Like pathos is where we're going to spend some time. Pathos is all about why in the world should I listen? Why in the world should I listen? Pathos has everything to do with an emotional connection to your content. I'm not talking before everybody gets weird on me. I'm not talking about everybody needs to be bawling their eyes out at the end of my presentation, okay? I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about everybody needs to run through a brick wall because they're so angry no, we're not talking about like, getting traumatic responses this is not what we're doing. We're talking about establishing an emotional connection to what you're presenting so they know it relates to them. Okay? So remember, we're in front of people because we want to help them, right? So we gotta make sure that it matters to them, because if it doesn't, they're not going to do anything because of it. Don't believe me that emotions matter. Here's the shocker, okay? Everybody, I can hear it through the computer. Oh, because everybody knows what this is. Everybody knows the ASPCA back in 2007. They met with this lady named Sarah McLachlan, and the world changed forever. They said all of a sudden we're watching like Desperate Housewives or something. And we're clicking through, and we're just nobody asked us for permission, and this thing just comes on the TV, and there's dogs in the corners of these like concrete things, and like cats with their ears chopped off, and you hear in the arms of an angel fly away, and you're like crying, and you're just like a mess. And it's because of this. It's because the ASPCA knows if we can get them to feel it, we can get them to do something, right? It's as simple as this. This is what's called the thought, feeling, action model. If we can get them to think and actually attach a feeling to it, they will do something. And this is, again, we could do a whole session on just this tool, but this tool proves that we can't just give information. We can't just give information. There's no arrow that goes from thought to action in that order. It has to go to feeling. We do not act if we don't feel something strongly enough. Give me any example you want to, and we can walk through why you've had to feel something to do something. It's in every marketing book you've ever read. It's just the way that the world works. So how do we actually get folks to feel something? In our presentations, the first thing that I'm going to suggest to you and to everybody here is storytelling. Storytelling. That doesn't mean you have to go take a big course on it. It doesn't mean that you have to be the best storyteller that's ever walked the face of the planet. What it means is if you have a personal story that goes along with the content you're giving, your audience wants to hear it. Why? Because your audience wants to put themselves in your shoes. They want to say, oh, I get that. I felt that way before. I understand it. He's gone through that, and this changed because of that, and I've been there. Yeah. That's why we want to tell these personal stories, is because we want them to step into our shoes and see how our product or our solution that we have changed their lives. Otherwise, it's just information. You see how that's different? The other thing I would encourage you to do is find those client stories. You wouldn't believe the amount of business owners that I'll talk to that don't tell client stories. You gotta be telling client stories, because if not, you're not showing the people in front of you who could be potential clients or be people that talk about your business to someone else. You're not giving them anything to show them, hey, here's the difference it made for XYZ thing. Here's the difference it made for this specific situation. Because they may know people that are in those situations, right? We want to drop them into our story about our product or service as much as we can. Got it? And when we do that, we're allowing them to see the big picture of the product or service that we're selling, right? How it really impacts lives. And that's gonna get them that emotional connection to your story or to your content that they may need to make a decision to support you or not. So client stories, a must, a must. Tell them this is a small thing, but when you're going through your content, and you get to the part where it's like this matters a lot. I did it earlier, and I'll go through this stuff, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, she did that earlier in the presentation." One thing I did earlier is I said, I want you to get out your notebook and take some notes because this is going to tell them what to do and why it matters. Okay, we're going to get into that in a little bit more, but tell them straight up, hey, here's why this matters. So they don't have to do the brain work. It matters because you don't want rust in your car in this very specific spot because I sell this product, or it matters because you don't want carbon monoxide in your house. It matters because children's education is important. It matters because whatever your service is, tell them why it matters so they don't have to do that extra work. Another way we can talk about emotions in the room while we're presenting is just naming them. If you've got folks that look confused while you're presenting, name them. Hey, it seems like we've got some confusion in the room. Don't be afraid of the feelings in the room. They're not all bad. Looks like we might have some questions. Anybody have a question or something they want me to clear up? That goes a long way. Hey, it looks like we've got some smiles. Anybody else feel this, or anybody else see this happen in their own life? Nods. Yeah. Building that credibility and allowing them to have an emotional connection. Huge. It maybe today you just needed to add that sentence into your presentation and you're Gucci, you're good, right? Maybe that's all you needed. So have those one-liners that answer to the emotion that's going on in the room. Asking questions during the presentation. I've been doing that a few times today. Reminds them that they have a stake in it. So if they're participating in your presentation, they feel like they're a part of it already. Little tiny hack that I want to make sure I give to you. Again, show enthusiasm for your topic. You are the captain of the ship, like we said. And if you're not excited about it, if you're acting like you don't want to be there, then they're not going to want to be there. If you're someone that likes humor, you tell jokes, and that's very natural for you, do that in your presentation. People like that. It's not unprofessional. Now, you can make it unprofessional. So be careful and don't be inappropriate, right? There are guardrails. But do that if that's your normal sense of humor. The last thing that I want to talk about is fun ways to infuse creativity, to have emotional connection to your content. Shock value. I'll talk about that one first. So at the beginning of this presentation, I said, okay, how can I help them to understand that we as people don't take in all the information all at once, that we actually automate and our brains are busy. And I said, I'm going to do an exercise in the beginning that's going to make them go, oh my gosh, she's right? So do that. So if you've got a problem or you've got something you want to solve, give them a fun little icebreaker. ChatGPT and Google, all that stuff is really good for helping you come up with those types of things. The other thing is music. Maybe today, this is all you need to hear. Whenever you have people coming in your room, turn on some music. Make it appropriate music, but turn on some music that people know. Get a little Journey in there. Do a little Beyonce. Something to just shake up the room before we get started. You would be amazed at the amount of people that walk into the presentation room that are like, ah, ha, 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 and laughing with each other and giggling and talking. If there's music. Music makes a huge difference. I once had somebody tell me, Olivia, you shouldn't put music on before a presentation because it's not professional. And I said, respectfully, I disagree. I would much rather have a little bit of control over my participants' emotions before they even start listening to me than have no control at all and they just come in here with whatever bad meeting they just left, right? So we can manipulate that a little bit by going, we're going to put in some upbeat music and we're just going to be real light while we're getting started, right? So maybe that's today what you needed. Pathos. pathos. So, so important. Again, if you've got questions, drop them in there. We're going to scoot right along here and talk about our last bit, logos. And logos is for my left brain people. This is the quadrant that is all about why should I care? This is data and simplicity. So when you think about logos, data and accuracy and simplicity. We're going to make it accurate and we're going to make it easy to follow. Okay. So the first thing we got to talk about is making sure any data you pull in is actually accurate. You would be surprised. So make sure that it's accurate and that you can point back to where you got the information from. And that's something just all the time you can do that. But it also builds that credibility too for you. So it's kind of a twofer. But why should I care, or why should I care about this? That's a huge, huge, huge thing for people. So the data's got to be accurate. If you all remember in, I forget what year it was, but when they started rolling out those $5 footlongs, I looked this up recently because as I was preparing for this, and it's interesting, they rolled out $5 footlongs at Subway, and what they ended up finding were people were starting to take pictures and with measuring tape and measuring if the footlong was actually a foot. And what they found out is it was consistently 11 inches and not a foot long. And what that did for their credibility and for their logos, for their accurate data, is it tanked it. It kind of blew up. Nobody was sued, nothing like that, but it certainly put into question what they were saying. Was it actually accurate? And turns out that it matters if it's accurate. So we want to make sure if we're bringing in data and all that stuff, it's real and it's right. Got it? Okay, so that's logic and reason and accuracy. The next part is we're going to keep our talk structured. We're going to keep it simple and keep it structured. Somebody earlier said one reason that they check out of a presentation is because there's too much going on and that it's not structured or simple enough. And so when we talk about being structured and simple, one easy thing you can put in your presentations from here on out is to let them know, your participants, let them know where you're headed next. I did this once in the presentation already, but I said you can say things like, my goal here is to. So my goal here is that you leave with 5 to 10 new ways you can influence your presentations today. Remember that? My goal here is to, so they don't have to guess why they're here. Okay. I already told you why you're here. So now you got your writing and you're probably trying to find your 5 to 10 ways that you're going to change your presentation. So my goal here is to, or if that's not your language, you could say the purpose of this is to. So do something like that. My favorite way to create simplicity and clarity in my talks is to tell them where we're going in what I call directionals. Meaning, hey, first we're going to look at Aristotle, and then we're going to dig into each of Aristotle's 3 different frameworks, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to apply it. You see what I did there? I'm telling you where we are now, where we're going to go, and where we're going to end. So if you've got an ADHD brain like me, or just people that want to know what's coming up next, you can go, oh, okay, Olivia said we're doing this first, and then she said we're going to have a bathroom break, and then she said we're coming back and we're going to do, so I know where I am in the process. Keeping it structured and simple is so important. Another thing you can do is say, hey, listen, this I'm going to tell you, it's going to be the most important thing I say today. I want you to underline it. I want you to highlight it. Or this is the bottom line. I want you to highlight it. I want you to underline it. When you get people doing that with you, actually highlighting or actually underlining, or put a star next to this, I want you to remember it. Those sorts of things, you're interacting with the audience and you're giving them clarity. You're telling them what they're taking away. Isn't that a beautiful thing we get to do? We get to tell them, hey, here's what is most important, and I want you to take this away. So they don't have to guess. We don't want to have them work at all during our presentation. We want to hold their hand. Okay, I might make some enemies right now. The next one, I've been nervous about it. I might make some enemies. We have to cut the jargon out of our language. If you are in an industry and the people in your audience are not in your industry, or there's some that are not, we have to be explaining what we mean about things, because so many times I've sat in meetings where I've gone, with folks that I've even helped where I've gone, I don't know what that acronym means. I don't know what you're talking about when you say this. What, the average person may not know what this means. Please define the terms that might even be a little confusing. Some stuff that you're going, everybody in the world knows that. Probably not in your energy. You're not outside of your industry. So please define that stuff. It really helps the listener. Now I'm really going to make enemies, okay? There's a difference between saying something like a corporate robot and the difference between saying it simple. Okay, I'm going to read you a sentence. I know some people are logging off. I'm just kidding. Nobody's logging off, I don't think. But listen, there's a difference between this. This is a real sentence. Real sentence. We need to leverage synergies to ideate forward-focused solutions across our verticals. Oh gosh. No, don't. Just say we need to talk more accurately to our stakeholders. Use human English, right? Because you're gonna lose people. My husband works for a ginormous company and they have all hands meetings and everything else. And what they do is him and his buddies, and this is not something he's proud of, is probably doesn't know I'm telling everybody this, but what he does is him and his buddies will make tally marks on every buzzword that they hear, and then they'll laugh about it. And guess what? They don't retain any of the information because they're so distracted by all the fancy words we're using. No fancy words. Just say it like a person, right? Okay, is everybody okay? We still good? Is our credibility, my credibility not completely tanked yet? Okay, we're backing out. We're safe now. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about when we talk about logos and simplicity is about visuals. This is a real slide somebody showed me. This is a real slide. Giving feedback on this slide is hard because I don't know where to start because there's so much going on, right? How am I going to be able to listen to you as a speaker and try to figure out what's going on in your slides? You may have something, this may be the cure for cancer. I have no idea. It might not be the IT modernization roadmap, but you could be showing me something super important, but I'm trying to figure it out. And I need you to just say it simple to me, okay? So when we're talking about slides, we're talking as simple as possible. I'm gonna be real with you. This slide that I have up here is one of the wordiest slides that I use. And that might shock a lot of you. And why is it wordy today? It's because this is a webinar and I'm not in front of you, moving around, speaking to you. And so I want you to be able to see some more information than I would if I was in person. But typically my slides are even simpler than this. So not that the way I'm doing it is the only way. I'm telling you, simple allows folks to hear you without trying to split their brain in two, going, okay, I got to write and I got to listen, and I got to write and I got to listen. Make it simple make a simple slide. I like to say, can I say it with a picture? Notice I didn't tell you the ASPCA story and pull up their statistics. I told them to you, but I just did it while I was showing you the picture. That's all I did. So that's an easy way to establish credibility. Can I say it in a chart? Maybe the information you give, can it be in a pie chart? Can it be, give them a picture if you can. So that's an important thing. And lastly, nothing is worse than being in a presentation that you feel like nothing applies to you in. So if you're giving a presentation, only give what you need. People don't like to be held. I'm not trying to fill time because I know we have an hour. I'm not going to give you information. We'll end early before I give you information that you don't need. Got it? And we should all be functioning that way because it's respectful for people to not waste their time giving them information they don't really need. So before you present, go through and ask yourself, is this something that they really need, or is this something I just really want to say? Because there's a difference, okay? And I'm not perfect at it either. Speakers that's been doing it for years aren't perfect at it either. But it's one good way where we can also build credibility while also staying very structured and very logos. Cool? We good? Okay. Now, before we go on, I want you to think back on ethos, pathos, and logos, and drop in the chat anything that I've missed so that we can be a community that helps each other. This may help other people in the group too, and it might help me too. What are some other ways you've seen people use logic and reasoning, uh, establish credibility. Are there any other ways or creative ways you've seen people tap into emotions, pathos in presentations? Drop those in there. And maybe you're like, she covered it. There's not a lot left. That's fine too. But if you have those comments, drop them in there. Help me, help your other folks on the call to get some new ideas on what to do that's worked. We cannot have a talk on public speaking and presentations without talking about nerves. So when I pull up this number, 75%, and you're thinking about public speaking, what would you guess 75% stands for? I'm going to let you guess in the chat if you can, if there's room. Oh, good. I see Dale's question. We'll get to it later. Yep. Endorsements. Yep. Yep. So what do you think 75% stands for? Yep. You got it, Dale. People who are afraid to speak. 75%. I don't know how many people are on this chat or on this webinar, but 3/4 of you likely are afraid to speak. Can anybody guess what 19% stands for when it comes to public speaking? Take a shot. See if you can get it. I didn't fool anybody with that last one. Anybody can guess what 19% is? I'm going to tell you in, people that don't like to hear public speakers. Good guess. Comfortable public speaking. Okay. All right, 3, 2, 1. 19% refers to the person. Yes, Judy, coming in hot. The percentage of people who would rather die than public speak. Would rather die, would rather play in traffic than public speak. Yes, same deal. Yeah, and it's true. And it's true. And so if we're going to talk about public speaking and we're going to talk about doing it fearlessly, we have to talk about nerves and confidence. I will warn you, people are going to be like, Olivia, your slide's not what you said. It's too wordy. And you're right. But here's the reason why this is a wordy slide. And it is because I want you to take a big old picture of this, because you may not need it right now, but you might need it later. We're going to go through right now 10 ways that I've had used in my experience and the experience of helping other people speak more confidently. Some ways that I've found to reduce anxiety and increase your confidence before you speak in public or give a presentation or whatever you're doing. Number 1, this is my favorite. See the space ahead of time. If I can see where I'm going to be speaking, my anxiety goes down a little bit. I like to go in and see the stage I'm going to be on. I like to see what it's going to be like when there's chairs in there, when there's people in those chairs in there. I like to do that. It makes me feel better, makes me calmer, helps it not be a mystery to me what the boardroom's going to look like, right? So if you can get in there early, you'd be surprised at what difference it would make, okay? And again, maybe that's the one thing you do that changes the way you speak today. I'm telling you, try that. It changed everything for me. Number 2, have a backup plan in case you need to regroup. What do I mean by regroup? Say you get up there and you feel the panic, or you feel the anxiety, or you feel the lump in your throat, or you feel your neck getting red and you start to get really anxious. You lost your spot. Here's the thing. I'm going to give you 2 things that will save you in that moment. Number 1 is this. Okay? If you feel like you are getting panicked, take a breath and take a drink. Nobody thought that was weird when I did that, did they? Nobody thought that, because people take drinks, right? It's very normal. But what I'm doing when I'm taking the drink is I might be going, okay, you just said this. What comes next? Stay confident. You're okay. Like, you can coach yourself out of it. Take a long drink if you need to. It's okay. So that, or this is a recent thing for me. This is a fidget ring. And what it is a ring with little balls on it. And what it does is just sits there on your finger and you can just move the little balls around. It's like a little anxiety stress tool. I use it on the stage all the time. I really do. And nobody knows. And it just helps me kind of fidget with something. I'm somebody that needs to fidget. So do something like that for when you need that regroup moment. Another thing that I didn't think about saying until right now, so this is bonus, but you can always say, hey, turn to your neighbor and talk for the next 60 seconds about what you've gained so far from this presentation, or what's something you're thinking about differently in this presentation. Talk for a minute and then we'll regroup. Boom! You got yourself a whole minute to get yourself back on task, and now you can look at your iPad, and now you can look at your notes. Amazing. So it's like a safety net. Think about those things, and maybe that's the one thing you're going to do to improve your presentations or your anxiety around them. Works like a charm. Know your transitions. Most of the people that I work with, the anxiety and the nerves come from, they're like, I can talk on this. I got the head knowledge. I can talk on this and I can talk on this. But getting from here to here is where I get stressed out. Anybody else? That in between is called a transition. So the transitions are where my folks get tied up. It's where I get tied up. And so what you can do to work on that is memorize a phrase that's going to get you from here to here and highlight it in your notes, bold it in your notes. If you're somebody that has an iPad, I always highlight mine blue. Like, I don't know why, but it's just blue all the time. So I know here's how I'm getting from here to here. If you're a no notes person, just make sure you've memorized it so that you know, hey, if I feel stuck, I know the one line that's going to get me to my next thing. If you can solve that, that alleviates a lot of anxiety too. Video yourself practicing. You'd be surprised how much you learn about yourself when you video yourself practicing. That's a good one. Find a nodder in the group. Everybody loves a nodder. It's the person on the airplane that's like, to the flight attendant that's like, uh-huh, I hear you. Yes, as they're going through everything. Everybody else is like on their phones. It's like the one that's like, uh-huh. So find those people in your presentation and keep looking at them. You can tell them ahead of time you're looking at them if they're friends and everything, obviously. But if they're not, then you will normally find somebody in a group that's with you, that wants you to succeed, that's making sure that you feel good. And they don't even know they're doing it because they're not, and you feel good. Keep looking at them, keep finding them whenever you feel nervous. Talk with people beforehand. This is one I use all the time. I don't do a talk without doing this. If you're coming in, I don't care if there's 10 of us in the room. I don't care if there's 500 or 1,000 of us in the room. I will be at the front door greeting you. I will be going, hey, how are the kids? How was vacation? Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. I'll be giving hugs. I'll be giving high fives. That's not everyone's style, so keep it within your style. But in true transparency and authenticity form, that's how I am in real life. And so that is how I'm going to be in a presentation. So I am finding common ground with people before I even get on the stage. What does that do? It ups my credibility, yes, but it also, most importantly, makes me feel more comfortable. Makes me feel more comfortable before I go up on stage. So if you've ever seen me speak, or if you see me speak one day and I talk to you, just know it's probably, I do care about what's going on, but I do that because I don't want to freak out. I want to have a connection with you before I get up there, so we're buddies, you know? So that's a good thing to do. Know what helps you relax. It's different for everybody, but make sure you have time to relax beforehand. Have water at the ready. This is good for if you have a brain fart, but it's also good if you start coughing and choking, okay? Pro tip. Make sure if you ask somebody to bring you water, or someone goes and gets water for you, it's not Sprite. That happened to me at one point, and I almost coughed it out in front of everybody because I wasn't expecting the fizz. So make sure you bring your own water bottle or something so that you can take a drink if you have to cough or something like that. Block 30 minutes before. You don't want to go from meeting to a presentation. I don't care how busy you are. Maybe it's 15 minutes. That's what's good for you. Get some time to just like resort before you're presenting in front of someone. There is all kinds of data that tells us about getting exercise before we do something stressful. So make sure you're making time for exercise. And I want to make sure I've got all the time in the world for questions. So let me open it up to Dave at this point. And Dave, can you read any questions that's come through? And if you have questions, go ahead and drop them in. And we're gonna do. I know you're nearing the end of our time, so if you want to hang through, please do.
We got all day. I got nothing. I got nothing for the rest of the day, so we're good.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. So let's see what we got here. We don't have any questions just yet, but Dales did say about the eye contact that he did that once and the lady asked me why I kept looking at her. So that actually happened to me one time too.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that's happened to me. But here's how you prevent yourself from doing that. There is a line between I'm going to stare at you and not break eye contact, and I'm going to occasionally glance in your direction. Okay? There's a difference. Don't
I
be
know.
creepy about it.
But sometimes that's subconscious, you know. I
Yeah,
mean, to your
yeah,
point about the nodder, you know, so you latch onto the nodder and
yeah.
then, you know, there's a fine line there. So yeah, being
Yep,
being
yep,
mindful. Yeah.
yep. Being mindful. Thanks for bringing that up.
Mhm. Stephen says, other resources, Gary Ginnard and the Ginnard Method, Julian Treasure's blog about speaking and listening to your surroundings and audience. Thank you for that. It's good stuff.
Hmm.
Um, oh, Dale also asked, should you ever talk about your accomplishments or awards in the beginning to build credibility?
Good question. I would have whoever's introducing you
Yeah.
to read the bio to do that for you. You don't want to run the risk of you never want to get up there and talk about your own accomplishments right out of the gate, because it could signal looking like desperate. It could, and that's just me being straightforward. It could signal looking like, oh, I want them to think this about me and that about me, so I'm going to try to. It could look a little manipulative.
Yeah.
So definitely have somebody who's introducing you read that and make sure to highlight that. But or you could put it in a slide. That's the workaround. You could put it in your intro slide.
Yeah. That's a good point. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't see any other questions.
Yeah, that's about all the questions we have, but
Oh, can you share the
yeah,
list of the 10 things again? Yeah.
there we go.
There you
Take
go.
take a picture. Take a picture.
Take a picture. Thanks for your feedback as they're coming in here. But really, please, there's no silly question. I mean, it's public speaking, as we talked about, 3/4 of people fear it. I'm one of those people. I'm not comfortable all the time
Mm.
doing this. So we definitely need to be talking about that more. So there's no silly question. But
Well,
uh,
I have a question.
yeah, what's up?
So and again, I've been preparing for this thing. That's why I've contacted you, this
Yeah, yeah, sure.
presentation I have, and so some of the things that I've read, and maybe you can validate or weigh in on this, is like if you're speaking and you want people to pay more attention, I've read, true or false, then maybe you reduce the volume of your voice so people will lean in a little bit. Or
Mm.
like hand gestures, like if you are trying to give a point, you like move your hand towards them with palm up, like to show trust that you're giving them here's a really good little nugget that I want you to know. I mean, are there tips and
Oh.
tricks like that that you use, maybe consciously or unconsciously, that you would share with us?
Oh, I would, the hardest part about that question, Dave, is going to be truncating it enough to make it a short answer. Because the answer is yes. If you notice and I'm going to, as people are getting ready to log off and that kind of thing, I want to pull this up. Stay in touch. I want to be in touch with you, and I'll answer that question in just a second.
Sure.
But email me with questions if you have to bounce. Feel free, add me on LinkedIn. I am here for you. I am local. I'm right across the river in Southern Indiana. We can get coffee. However, I can help you, let me know. But to answer that question, and maybe other people are thinking that too, you heard me in this presentation. I'll be up here for a little bit. I'm doing this. And then sometimes I come off and back off like this if I'm making a point. There's a lot to be said in tone, in pitch, and pausing that we didn't even get a chance to dig into today. So the answer is, I think probably the most truncated way I can say it is, if I was going to say to work on anything when it comes to delivery of a story or delivery of information, know when to pause.
Mm.
Know when to pause. Let me give you a quick example. Um, let's see. Uh, okay, I'll say this as an example. It was the most powerful hour of my life versus it was the most powerful hour of my life. Totally different feel.
Yeah.
Totally. This tool helped me a whole lot. This tool helped me a lot. Totally different feel. So if I was going to give just like a masterclass 60-second thing, work on your pausing when you're making a
Mhm.
point like that. And now that sounds keynote speakery. That sounds, you can do that in a presentation and wow your people. And that is a simple, simple thing.
Nice.
Gesturing, yes, yes, gesturing, all the gesturing. Now, I was told in college that I looked like I was gonna fly away. So my actual at the end I had to give a presentation for a final and he made me put my hands in my back pocket. So gesturing is good, but don't be like me how I started out and I'm like all over the place. So know your gesturing. Again, we could do a whole other session on just gesturing.
And we will.
There you go. There you
There we
go.
go.
Happy to.
All
Any
right.
other questions?
No, that's about it. Steven says maybe join a Toastmasters group too to gain experience and confidence. Yep, I've done that. That's good stuff there.
Yeah.
So, well, Olivia,
So,
this has been fantastic. I've had so much fun to learn. I took a ton of notes. I know everybody else did too. So reach out to
yeah,
Olivia. I
absolutely.
did.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I hope this has been a good use of your lunchtime hour and you have those 5 to 10 things you're ready to just slide into your next presentation and
Yeah,
make it better than where it was. So I'm on your team. Let me know if I can help.
yeah. Janet, thanks for driving the ship as always.
Sure thing, Olivia. We look forward to having you back again. So thank you very much for today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been wonderful. See you all.
Yeah. Yep. Well, have a good Tuesday. Bye-bye.